What is wisdom? We're going to cover this word quite a bit in this book. And so it's a pretty good plan to have a definition swimming in your head of what wisdom really is. I'm quoting mostly right from this book, this huge book that I said we're going to go through. The author gives us a couple characteristics of what true wisdom looks like. First of all, he says, wisdom is the knowledge and ability to apply what one knows. So in other words, it's not just knowing facts, it's knowing what to do with those facts. Then he says, it's the ability to live in accordance with God's plan and will. God's will, by the way, is to follow the Ten Commandments. It's literally what the Bible says whenever you search the phrase God's will. God's will is you follow the Ten Commandments and suffer as a Christian. So the Proverbs are basically an exposition of the Ten Commandments. But you could just go back to the Ten Commandments and say, okay, well, wise living is to respect my authority. Wise living is to protect my body and the bodies of other people. Wise living is to honor marriage, be faithful to my spouse. Good, wise living is to take what God has given me with thanksgiving, use it for other people, and not take other people's stuff, and so on. That's just wisdom. It's just given a whole bunch of examples in this book. He also says, wisdom depends on reasoning and the aptitude and willingness to learn. This is how the book starts. In fact, chapter 1, verses 5 and 6 basically say, if you're not willing to learn, you're not wise. It's pretty common in our society today to find people not willing to learn. We're probably some of those people a lot of the time. Just think for yourself for a second. Is there a topic that if someone would come and talk to you about it, you would not budge 1 inch? There's no chance that you will ever change your opinion on that thing. You're a fool. You might be right, but you're a fool. The inability to learn or to even want to learn, to understand another person's point of view, that's foolishness. Wisdom is being able to say, I may not agree with you, but I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to ask questions to understand you. I'm willing to at least have my views nuanced, if not shifted. In fact, a truly confident person is willing to do that. If you're so sure that you're right, then you should be able to listen to any argument against whatever you believe because you know you're right, and every other argument is going to fall short of that. And so you can give people the generosity of letting them explain themselves to you and learning from them, because if you're right, inevitably their argument will fall in on itself. But I think we're scared. I think we're scared that we're wrong. And so we won't listen. We'll censor people from our Facebook feed. We won't look at YouTube videos from a certain side of the political spectrum that we don't like. We'll scoff at the arguments that people make on either side of an issue. That's not wisdom. He also says, it's characterized by insight into the ways that God has ordered the world and into the ways that sin corrupts the world. In other words, if you're not thinking about the relationship between God's perfect creation and how sin corrupts it, you're not wise. And then finally it says, coupled with this is foresight, the ability to anticipate the consequences of one's actions so that one can avoid sinful and harmful situations. When you're a teenager, you make a whole bunch of decisions without thinking about the consequences. The moment you start to become wise is when you start to think, this may be fun, this may bring me pleasure, but what I can see on the other side is not worth this moment of goodness or happiness or peace. It would be better for me to cut myself off, to stop whatever I'm doing for the sake of my long-term viability and well-being. So, that's wisdom. We'll catch you next time.